Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 75215. This is the Cloud Rider Swoop Bikes, containing 355 pieces and retailing for $29.99, plus containing 3 minifigures, all of which are exclusive, and 2 Swoop Bike builds. This set, kind of seemed like it was going to be relatively relatively well priced and relatively, cool. It was released as part of the second wave of solo sets, so not with the original release, but in the summer sets when they released the Convex and the stuff based on that scene, really. But I don't know. I think that the contents of this set just look different from a lot of Star Wars stuff that we've seen in the past. So I don't know. I'm expecting good things from this set, and I did pick this up on sale or on clearance for only $15, and at that price, I thought it was a no-brainer. And there are 2 Swoop Bikes in the set, and there are actually 2 instruction booklets. So each instruction booklet builds up one of the Swoop Bikes. And for example, within instruction booklet 1, once you reach the end, you are left with this first Swoop Bike here, and the 2 figures. And here's just a look at the ads in the back while we're here. Just shows all the summer sets, including the 2 solo sets that were released alongside this one, and another ad showing the other 2 solo sets, and then the first wave of solo sets. So there's a decent amount of advertisement in the back of that manual. But this is the bike here with the sidecar for Wiesel. And it's a pretty sizable bike. This is definitely scaled up a bit from what you see in Universe. So it's slightly larger than minifigure scale, which they do a decent amount when they're tackling like speeder bikes and stuff. They'll usually tend to scale it up a little bit, sometimes to the point of unreasonability. But in this case, I think that it's not too crazy. It's definitely oversized, and you can definitely tell, but I don't think it's awful. I think that this is a reasonable use of that, because I do think the level of detail on here is really good. I love these engines at the back in particular. I think that this is probably my favorite part of the whole set. I don't know, I just think those look great. And then, from a top view, it's not even the same length. I don't know. I think they did a really good job with that. The seats are, just there. Wiesel can stand because he's a short minifigure. And you can put Beckett, even though, this doesn't make sense in the scene, but you can have him sitting there in order to, just catch a ride, really. And, I don't know, I mean, the intakes over here on the sidecar are good. These up front are all stickers, and there are a total of 13 stickers in the set. And, normally, like, these are all exactly the same design. I'd say, print them, because, they could have just used 3 printed pieces instead of 6 stickers. But, however, these are a new color for those flag pieces. So I do think that it's nice that, they give people the option to just have flag pieces if they wanted to buy the set just for parts. Force them to be printed. And the same thing is true of the sticker pieces on Emphasis bike. There are 3. I guess you'll see this again when we look at Emphasis bike, but this is a new part in that color, but they sticker them on both sides again. So, that's where all the stickers of the set go to, not just creating designs like that. But this sidecar can be removed. Ideally you'd do it smoother than that, but I don't think it's designed to be removed really. But if you wanted to, you could take this, and now this is one bike, and this is another bike, and you could. For play, you could have 3 bikes here for 3 separate characters. This one looks a little awkward, but I don't think it's too unreasonable to do that. Also, back here, there are 2 studs exposed. That is so that you can, fit the crate of coaxium onto the side. It's not perfect, and, it looks like it wants to topple over. But, it works, and it is good for play to be able to, you know, pick up the coaxium and run away with it. But yeah, other than that, that's really all there is. There's one stud shooter right here, and you can just shoot that off and lose your studs. But yeah, that's there's one on the other side as well. I forgot, but yeah, there are 2 stud shooters per bike. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's a pretty well-designed thing. The level of detail is really good. If it's a little oversized, yeah, that's true. But you know, I think that for the level of detail, I think that this was a good compromise. And here we have Emphasis speeder bike, and this one is a little bit smaller. It's about the same length, really, but you know, maybe slightly smaller. It's like 1 engine smaller, but of course it is a little bit thinner because it doesn't have that sidecar. But I think that this one is a little bit more recognizable from the scene in the movie. I do think that you see this one quite a bit more, and I don't know, I think that the design here does a better job of portraying it, and this one feels less oversized, even though it is like basically in the same scale as the other one. But I don't know, I guess not having a sidecar really helps with the scaling thing. Again, you have 2 stud shooters right here, and you can just shoot them right off, and you know, they work just as well as stud shooters always do. You know, they're pretty well integrated in there. This little section on the back is attached with clips and just angled, and that is the 13th sticker right there, with the other ones up here I already talked about briefly. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good, the whole front end. And then this here, my only complaint is that we see the undersides of the studs from this side, which is a little bit unfortunate. It would have been nice if they could have continued the pattern over here. However, you know, I get it, it's not the end of the world, and this does have, you know, it's a 1 camera friendly angle, because from this angle that looks really good, this back section. Just a little bit worse here. I do think that the engines on this one are built up a little bit less interesting, but you do get a bunch of those rounded 1x2 plates, which is a cool piece to get. And the way they do the angling here is, you know, it's not too complicated. They just have 2 those Technic plates, like that have the hole on the bottom that you can see right here. And they just use those to angle it upwards and have a bracket going around the side, and that locks it in place so it really can't move too much. And gets a good angle, looks good. Yeah, works out pretty well, and kind of matches the angle of this almost. But yeah, I mean, from the bottom you do have some more rounder plates that are just used to elevate it up just the tiniest bit so it looks like it's hovering when you put it down. You know, would have been nice to see those in clear or something, just so that it actually looks like it's hovering. But I mean, and like actually feels like it's hovering, because you know it's just resting on these. But it's fine, and the figure can sit if you want. If you want Emphas to sit, you can sit. I think that, you know, it almost looks better standing. But either way, you can hold on to the handlebars. I'm not gonna go and, you know, put them both in the hands, but you know, that's what it looks like. Perfectly fine. Pretty good look there, actually. Maybe it's not that much better standing. You can do standing if you want it to look maybe a little more intimidating. I don't know. Either one's an option. Sitting actually looks really good though. I don't know. I guess we will leave it sitting for now, if we can get it in there. Sitting's a little bit harder to position in. It is really easy to just plop them in and stand there. And you can move this whole assembly forward if you just want to be able to completely get in there and, you know, do all your posing of the figure's hands. And then you can just pop this back in place whenever you're ready. That's pretty good. It's nice to be able to get that out of the way, and, you know, just gives it a little bit more mobility. So you could lift this up and then angle the handlebars down separately, and that would allow you to get it into a standing position with the handlebars still in the hands. You know, it works, and I don't know. I like this bike's design quite a bit. And if you haven't seen one of these coaxium crate builds in one of the solo sets, they work pretty simply. They're just one of these crate pieces with a 2x2 jumper on the top, and all you do is pull up the jumper, and with it comes this canister of coaxium. And I like this design. It actually does a decent job of replicating what happens in the movie, which is when you pull off the cover, the coaxium things come out with it, and then, you know, you take the coaxium out of the section attached to the cover. You know, that's good. I like that. And it definitely gets the tube-like shape of that. So I don't know, it's very believable to me, and better than they usually do for just random cargo, I think. Yeah, I like that. And as cool as those bikes were, I think the figure selection might be even cooler. All three are exclusive to this set, and every single part of every single figure, or every single print on every single figure except for one face, is exclusive. And all of Enfys here is brand new. Never seen any of it before. I mean, I guess except for the staff pieces. But that staff, for just being generic pieces, that's a good representation of Enfys' staff. It's definitely a nice build there, and you do get all of these as extra pieces as well, so you could build a second one of these if you wanted to for, I don't know, maybe Wiesel wants a staff. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is a really good looking figure. The helmet mold is great. It's dual molded, and you've got the tan base there, with some good printing on the front. That looks pretty good. And you do have these silver bits at the back, and those are actually molded in a flat silver rubber material. So it's going to allow these sections here not to break off, which is good. I mean, I always like it when my figures don't break over time. But yeah, you can see just on the inside, definitely dual molded pretty well. And there is no face print, which is slightly unfortunate, but I mean, I would rather have left the identity of Enfys Nest as, a mystery instead of having it spoiled by the Lego set. So I guess that's okay. And it definitely helps just around the sides where you can kind of see the head underneath, leaving that black. Does help a little bit. And the torso print on here is really well detailed. There's a lot of intricate detailing on there. The legs are unfortunately not dual molded or anything, which I guess is the only minor drawback, which, I mean, it's not even that bad. And even the light colors on here are printed really well, like that belt down there in white is really well done. Yeah, it's a good print, and this cape is awesome. It's got a little bit of printing on the back, which they did for a couple of the solo sets. I think they did it with Han, one of the or maybe it was Beckett, one of the two in the TIE Fighter set. And it's got a different color on the inside, so it's like one of the 2-layer capes. And if you look at the back, there's the printing on the back of the torso. Again, a really good job with that white. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they aren't good at printing it on minifigure heads, but I guess they could make it happen for Enfys' torso here. But yeah, this is a great figure. And then Beckett here is much simpler, so less time will be spent here. But yeah, the torso and legs here are exclusive, and they get a pretty good look. Portrays the appearance of his clothes in the movie pretty well. This is a pretty standard appearance for him. We did get one Beckett figure in the first wave of solo sets, but it was him in his Imperial officer disguise from the scene on Mimbin, right? I think that was the planet. And he does have 2 of these flat silver pistols, which, good to get a couple of those. Some decent back printing on his torso. The only thing unfortunate about this figure is the face is a reuse of the one from the TIE Fighter set. And since he was an Imperial officer there, he was wearing a hat that didn't cover the back of his head, so no alternate expression. But the use of the Mr. Incredible hair works pretty well for his character, and I do think as a whole this is a pretty good figure. And then there's Wiesel, and this figure, like, if Lego nailed any of the figures in this set, like if they killed it with any of them, it was definitely this guy here. Because this is some random side character that we see for, like, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds. He's played by Warwick Davis, which is, cool to get another minifigure of him. But, yeah, it's, like, this is not a character I would have expected to see in this set, and especially with such an intricately molded helmet. Like, that's awesome, that piece. It's got, like, I think it's triple molded. Yeah, it's got the tan, it's got the red, and it's got the black. I mean, I guess the black could be painted, but it looks like it might be molded in there. I don't know. Well, maybe it is just painted on, but regardless, it's really well applied paint, if it is just paint. And, that looks great, fantastic. Again, even the little printing on the side right there, with the antenna, yeah, the antenna doesn't look silver from the front. Okay, maybe that's, like, if I had to pull out a flaw with that helmet, maybe that's it, but It looks fantastic, and even the printing up here at the front, there's a little bit of a hole right there. It's a little bit difficult to tell, but I guess if I angle it right there, you can see that is a hole, and it shows just through to his plain black minifigure head. But it's not a plain black minifigure head, because guess what? They actually take advantage of the little space, printed, or the space that's left by the helmet, and they print that up with a little bit of a strap. It's super subtle. It's just dark brown, and it's honestly even hard to see. I believe that the curved part is supposed to go towards the back, but maybe not. Maybe I have it wrong. But it's a little bit unclear in the instructions because that's how subtle the print is. They didn't really have to print that at all, honestly. But I'm glad they did. It adds a little bit extra detail to this really cool figure. And the torso print on the front and back is pretty good, and his weapon is okay. No printing on the legs, but they're short legs, and that's fine. But I don't know. I'm impressed with this figure. Yeah, overall, I'm really happy with the contents of the set. I think the builds are great, and the figures are fantastic. I guess if I had to make a minor complaint, maybe I would argue that it's a little bit difficult to get Anfis's weapon to stay in her hands. Like, you have to do a little bit of messing around with it. It's not, impossible or terribly annoying, but the only thing that I could have maybe asked for is if they had just thrown a clip maybe just on the back or something, maybe on the back of this thing, so you could just have the staff attached to her vehicle so that you didn't have to hold it the whole time. But that's a very minor complaint. I think that the builds here are really good. The figures are all really good. The price is great. I mean, this feels like $30 worth of stuff. I mean, maybe the bikes aren't as dense as you'd like, but they're definitely big enough to justify $15 each if you can justify the Ninjago bike set that's $30 for if you can justify 2 bikes at $15 each, motorcycles, then you can justify these at $30. And I think the part count and the level of detail and the figure selection here, I think this is definitely a better deal than many of the $30 Star Wars sets of late. And honestly, I don't think they even really needed to include the Beckett figure. I'm glad they did. It's definitely a nice bonus, but I think they could have gotten away with just having the 2 Cloud Rider figures. And I mean, I don't think many people would have complained, but I'm glad that we've gotten a Beckett here just because we haven't gotten one anywhere else. And, I wouldn't have wanted to go a full wave without getting a Beckett figure, because I do think he's an important character to the movie. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.